Everyone can think of like the cemetery of New Year's resolutions that it just exists in our head. And all that does is makes deposits into the identity. I am someone who doesn't do what I say I'm going to do. Rules aren't meant to be broken. They're meant to be rewritten altogether. If you're ready to play by your own rules, if you are a rebel with a cause, I think you'll love it here. Bring a friend, sit back, and enjoy another episode. Or don't. Remember, you write the rules here. Hello, my loves. You are now tuned in to another episode of Rima's Rules. We're gonna get straight to it today. Today's episode really is about less talk and more action. I genuinely cannot remember the last time I clicked on a video that said how to exit your lazy girl era, because I just do not identify with being a lazy girl. No shade at you. It was not always that way, as you will see very soon. But the entire point of this video is to get you to a place where you don't need videos like this ever again. I don't know if it's become this annual thing where we just go through this hibernation phase and we start identifying with being lazy during certain seasons, and then hot girl summer rolls around and then we start binge watching all of these videos on how to exit our lazy girl era. But this is going to be the last year that is a thing for you. The good news here is if you're very frustrated with yourself, if you're fed up with certain behaviors, if you really want things to be different, but know deep inside that your behaviors have not been different enough to produce different results, this is the exact tune-up, reality check, identity shift that you've always needed. And I'm so excited because we're going to do it for real and for good this time around. I'm going to give you the 5 rules that I have personally followed to transform me from the lazy bitch that was obsessed with this here couch to the girl that is going to the gym 5 days a week. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm actually doubling up and doing 2-a-days. I'm like in turbo mode right now. So you're finding me at the perfect time. If you're ready to completely, I don't even want to say exit your lazy girl era, but just completely dispose of that era and never have to look back at it again, keep watching, because each of these 5 rules is going to build on the next. And I can't wait to get into it. First things first, you already messed up by clicking this video, because rule number 1 is you need to stop identifying with being lazy. I was the queen of identifying with being lazy because I thought it was funny, cute, and in a lot of moments I thought it made me very self-aware to just acknowledge what I was being at the time. I would make so many self-deprecating jokes in front of my family, and it kind of became this thing that I'm just lazy and I don't like to move and I like to stay home, and if we had to go walk somewhere, my family would be like, "Are you sure you're gonna be okay? Do you really want to walk?" And when I think about that, honestly, right now I kind of cringe that I branded myself as that voluntarily, but nothing changed for me until I made the very clear decision to stop identifying with that part of me, even and especially if that was who I was being at the time. The moment that I decided I am fed up with being this lazy couch potato and delusionally started telling myself things like I'm active, I'm healthy, I'm an athlete, all of these things that maybe were not true at that very moment, but I knew I wanted to be true for me, that's when everything in my life started changing. And personally for me, it wasn't such a hard thing for me to believe. I know I say delusional. It was delusional because at that point in time, I wasn't actually working out. But I am someone who's always had a habit of working out in the past. I grew up playing pretty much any sport that you can think of. I've always been in the gym. Being active, being healthy, being an athlete, those are identities that are things that I can tap into from the past. So if that doesn't work for you at all, if you say it and you feel like you're just completely lying, I don't recommend trying to tap into the identity of like being an Olympian if you're someone who has trouble walking on the treadmill for even 5 to 10 minutes. But saying something like, I am active, or I am more active than I was yesterday, or I am healthy, or I love to move, I love to walk, whatever it is that feels accessible to you, start telling yourself that first, because pouring into that identity, creating these little deposits into that identity is going to make it so much more easy for you to get tempted by the right behaviors. What's happening right now, if you're identifying with being a lazy girl or sluggish or in hibernation mode, if you say, I'm just not a runner, whatever you tell yourself, you are starting to make little deposits into that bank account of that identity. And what ends up happening is you will start to magnetize the actions, behaviors, decisions, opportunities that align with that identity that you are making deposits into. So if you just flip that activity on its head and start saying things like, I am healthy, you'll start to see how every single day the habits and mindsets and behaviors of a healthy person are going to be top of mind for you. And one thing I really want to hone in on here is that going to the gym is really just 20% of it. Like there's so much else that you're doing throughout your day that can help contribute to you being this active, healthy person and just kind of slowly chipping away and combating this lazy identity that is not just limited to the hour or so that you are spending at the gym or going on a hot girl walk. It's also the fact that you gravitate towards a glass of water in the morning. It's the fact that you decided to park your car a little bit further or decided to spend your weekend going somewhere and walking and doing something active instead of just staying at home. That's a real life example for me. Like when I started saying, I'm healthy, I'm active, I'm someone who loves to walk, I'm someone who loves to, take care of my body, then slowly but surely, I started just being tempted by those kinds of behaviors. Over the weekend, we literally used to just go to a cafe, sit all day. We would be productive work-wise. But when it came to my step count, if I didn't work out that day, genuinely like 3,000 to 4,000 was like a lucky number for me if I didn't work out that day. Slowly but surely, our weekends started to become very active weekends where hitting 10,000 steps was given because the things that we were electing to do were inspired by this identity of being healthier people. My calorie count, I have this thing called the Whoop that's right here that tracks my calorie count every day. And it's like even tracks it while you're sleeping. I started to see the numbers completely go up. And that coincided with me just deciding that I am a healthy person. So you need to start by no longer identifying. You need to divest from this identity that you are a lazy girl. Number 2 is to stay in character throughout the day. Literally pretend like you have been cast as a specific character. And I want you to do this, especially if that character feels like a departure from who you are today. The psychology behind the tip that I'm about to give you right now is actually pretty in line with this book that I recently read called The Alter Ego Effect, where the author just talks about the psychological impact of employing this alter ego to help you step into this identity that you actually want. And the reason that that's a very helpful tool is because sometimes you're so stuck in the way that you already do things as Rima, as this version of you, or in your case, maybe the lazy girl version of you, that sometimes if you're able to use a tool like an alter ego or a character, or maybe even like an alias name that you have, that helps you build habits that you normally wouldn't have built, or hone in on certain personality traits that don't feel as natural to you. Alter egos that we all know and maybe love are Beyonce's Sasha Fierce. I know my girl Meg Thee Stallion has Tina Snow. Beyonce actually talks about Sasha Fierce, and I thought that that was super interesting because the Beyonce that we see on tour and on stages is not at all the Beyonce that we see. If you've watched any of her interviews, she's super shy. She's like a church girl, country girl from the South, very soft-spoken and really just very shy. But Sasha Fierce enables her to get on stage and do things that the Beyonce that she's always known herself to be might not feel like she has the courage to be and do. Sasha Fierce stepping into that alter ego really enables her to perform the way that she does. So when I'm telling you to stay in character throughout the day, I'm really emphasizing this point that it's not just about what you're doing at the gym or what you're doing, what activity you're choosing every day to be active. If that's all you do, that's not going to completely solve this issue of you feeling like a lazy girl. Because guess what? There was a phase in my life where I went to the gym almost every single day, but I still sat my ass on the couch for the other 80% of the day. Like, I genuinely was still a very lazy girl. And sure, was I able to achieve certain results just by going to the gym? Kind of, but it didn't make me feel good. Like I still didn't feel good about myself. I'm, now in my 30s, and it's so important for me to focus on my health. I want to have kids one day. And so I'm really invested in not just how I look, but more importantly, how I feel. And that's not just going to be accomplished in the time that I spend at the gym. So when I decided to choose this character of a girl who's active, who loves to be outdoors, who loves to spend her weekends walking and being in nature, it really started to activate certain random habits throughout the day that seemingly have nothing to do with those things. One random example for me is I started feeling super inspired to switch up how I approach my morning coffee. One thing I will always do all day, every day, no matter where I'm at, is have some sort of iced coffee beverage in the morning. Over the past several months, especially with all the boycotts, if you know, you know, well, you should know because we all know at this point, I started making all of my coffee at home. So that was already a huge departure from the kinds of coffees I would get from said cafe that we no longer speak of. So that in itself already started investing in this character of me being more healthy and being more conscientious of what I'm putting in my body. But even more recently, as I'm continuing to invest and build momentum in this chosen character, I'm like, what if I could make my morning coffee protein drink at the same time? So I found this protein shake that I use where I literally replaced the milk that I was already putting in my iced lattes in the morning with this 30 grams of protein every single morning. It's not even about the 30 grams. Like, that's important, cool, amazing, awesome. It used to be 0 grams and now it's 30. That's a great win. But it's more so about having something within the first hour of my day, usually the first 10 minutes, because let's be real, I don't do anything without my coffee, that is already making a huge deposit in this chosen character, in this chosen identity. So find something. It doesn't have to be something that I just said. It could be something like waking up and while you're brushing your teeth, doing 10 squats, because why not? Like, just doing something that invests in this identity. So ask yourself, and this could low-key be an amazing journal prompt. When you envision this version of yourself that you want to be, what does she like to do? What is she listening to? What is her morning routine? What kinds of things does she say and not say? How does she dress? What does she consume? What are her favorite hobbies? Like, get very vivid. Like, literally imagine that you are a casting director and you're trying to cast a character for your film. What is this character like? And how can you start to do things, especially within the first moments of your day, to start your day off as her? Like, you're not becoming her, you are being her. How can you be her within the first 10 to 30 minutes of your day? I would love to hear from you, by the way. What came to mind when I asked you those questions? Let me know what you're going to commit to doing within the first several moments of your day. Number 3 is to lean on tiny habits to build self-trust. This is one of the most slept on things ever in life. So I'm going to find a metaphorical way to break it down to you. Let's say that you were roaming around in a desert and you were on the brink of starvation. You were dehydrated. You know, at any given moment, you could probably just die from dehydration. This is so dramatic, but just bear with me. And let's say as you were walking, you stumbled upon an apple orchard, this beautiful, fruitful apple orchard. And you just saw all of these amazing, luscious looking apples on a tree. I want to know, which apple would you reach for? The apple that was literally within reach, that you could just, even with your eyes closed, just grab it and eat it? Or the apple that was at the top of the tree that would require that you jump repeatedly to try to reach it and grab it? And let's even say that the apple at the top of the tree, just for the sake of nuance, is fatter and juicier. If you were on the brink of starvation, would you reach for that one, or would you just grab the one that was right in front of you? I think, judging by the sarcasm in my voice, you know there is a right answer to this question. And it's that you should reach for the one that requires 0 energy so that you could replenish your, energy stores. And then sure, once you feel great, you can start jumping and finding creative ways to climb the tree and reach for the bigger apples. And I want you to know, habits and achievements are actually not like apples on this tree, because your brain and your self-trust doesn't distinguish between larger achievements and smaller achievements. That is why something as cliche as making your freaking bed every morning matters. You are collecting these small wins that your brain doesn't see as small wins. It just sees it as a win, so that you can make deposits early on in your self-trust to help you become a person that is able to tackle bigger things, like deciding to run a marathon. There's this book that changed my life. I know all of you girlies love the book Atomic Habits, and no shade to Atomic Habits. I think it's an amazing foundational book. But if you want to really, really, really understand deep psychology of habit building, I actually recommend more highly the book Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg. Don't think that this book is standing in the way of you getting on the treadmill, by the way. You could audiobook Tiny Habits while you're on your hot girl walk. So I don't want you to do that thing, the self-development paradox thing where you think that you need to read the book before you start like holding yourself accountable. Just wanted to put that out there. But anyway, the more strategic way to build self-trust and start tackling harder things is to focus on the tiniest of habits. Like, it gets really dramatic. The author literally tells you that if you want to build a habit of flossing your teeth every morning, then just set the goal of every single day flossing one tooth. The reason that that is so effective is because 9.9 times out of 10, if you set the goal of flossing one tooth, you're probably going to floss more than one tooth. Like, if the only goal that you set is setting your yoga mat out in your living room, you're probably going to get on that yoga mat and do something. And there will be some days, the 0.01 day, where all you did was open your yoga mat and not do anything. And that is still a win because that was the only goal that you set. And so you are continuing to keep up with the momentum of someone who does what they say they are going to do. Now, here's the thing with that. It is so important in exiting your lazy girl era for good to become the kind of woman who does what she says she is going to do. But I see people take this and run with it in a way that is so damaging to your self-trust. And I'm one of them. I've totally done this before. Instead of saying, I'm going to walk for 10 minutes a day, you go all the way to the other extreme and say, I'm going to do 75 hard, or I'm going to be a gym baddie 5 days a week. I'm going to, and then the worst is when you set like 27 different goals of like, I'm going to drink a gallon of water, and then I'm going to go to the gym and do the Stairmaster for 45 minutes. And then I'm also going to stretch after that for 15 minutes. And then I'm going to read 10 pages a day. And I'm not throwing any shade at the ambition. I just want you to understand that to go from doing nothing to doing everything is very risky. Are there some people that have been able to do that? For sure. I'm one of them too. I'm definitely someone who has set crazy, ambitious regimens, and at times I actually stuck to them. But the majority of the time, what actually ended up happening when I took that approach was I let myself down after like day 3. Everyone can think of like the cemetery of New Year's resolutions that it just exists in our head. And all that does is makes deposits into the identity. I am someone who doesn't do what I say I'm going to do. So if you want to start making deposits into the identity of I'm someone who does what I say I'm going to do, you are so much better off making the thing that you say you're going to do so ridiculously doable that you're just dumb if you don't do it. Like, if you literally set a goal of putting your gym shoes on in the morning, and that's it, you will not fail at that. You're not going to fail at something like that. And what ends up happening is you've already built this momentum, and you putting your gym shoes on turns into a morning walk 9 times out of 10. This isn't to say that you should be less ambitious with your goals. This is just to be strategic in how you are going to get there. I was someone who went from being very active and then moving to LA and then just falling off of everything, to be honest. I felt like I was never settled here, and I felt like I didn't get into my flow. And so instead of saying I'm going to work out 5 days a week like I used to, I recognize that I've become a person that doesn't even believe myself when I say that out loud. So I started saying I'm going to walk for 10 minutes a day. I actually bought a walking pad at the time because I knew myself. There were some days where my lazy girl identity was so strong that I didn't even want to get my ass up off this freaking couch and go downstairs to the 5th floor in my apartment and walk for 10 minutes on the treadmill, or better yet, go outside and try to walk. And so I bought a walking pad so that I had no excuse. So I just started walking every day. That's it. From there, I started believing myself more. So I started feeling a lot more confident saying things like, I'm going to go to the gym 3 days a week. I started going to the gym 3 days a week. And then I'm like, okay, I want to go to the gym 5 days a week. I started going to the gym 5 days a week. And I've been going to the gym for 5 days a week for months at this point. And then just recently, I'm like, in June, I want to go 5 days a week. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm going to double up and do 2-a-days because those are weightlifting days and I just wanted to get more of my weights in. And so I've been doing that. And I can't describe to you the feeling of building my self-trust to this level where I truly feel uneffable. Like nothing can get in my way. One of the pressure tests for this, for me at least, is the things that used to feel like they're gonna completely throw me off my game. Now they feel like non-factors to me. And I'll give you an example so you get what I mean. Whenever I used to be like on a good routine here and we would travel, because we travel overseas to see family all the time. We also go to the Midwest where a lot of our family is. I would constantly dread these trips because I would trust myself so little that I thought that just getting on an airplane and going somewhere else was enough to just completely throw me off. And for a lot of times it did. But once I started making these deposits in my self-trust, slowly but surely, I started to become the girl that literally had no excuses. I would start booking my workout classes while we were still here. If I knew we were traveling. We're actually traveling next week and I've already booked my workout classes because I'm like, obviously I'm hitting the gym and obviously my 5 days a week, 2-a-days on Tuesdays and Thursdays stands because why wouldn't it stand? Because I've shown myself that I'm someone that sticks to the things that I say. I cannot emphasize how important it is to become someone who keeps promises that you make to yourself. And the best, most effective way to do that is to start by making tiny, tiny promises that are almost impossible to break. I'm really excited for you to try this, and I definitely recommend reading or audiobooking Tiny Habits if this is something you're interested in learning more about. Number 4 is that you're allowed to love the things that you do. I want to tell you a story. When I was young, I wanted to lose weight. I was in high school. And I decided that I wanted to start rollerblading because I really love to rollerblade. And in my logical brain, I would be moving a lot more. So it was going to work. And I remember my dad, who's an immigrant. And if you have immigrant parents, you totally understand this vibe. He pulled me aside and very lovingly tried to talk to me about how if I want to lose weight, this isn't the best way to do it. And, you know, you can't really like take the easy way out when you want to do things. And I felt really discouraged, but because I looked up to him so much and thought he was super smart, which he was, I trusted him with that. And so I didn't end up rollerblading to do that. That's not even the point of me telling that story. Like, it's not that big of a deal. I figured it out. But the reason that that story stuck with me is because it imprinted something that I do think was not very helpful in my brain, which is that if you like it, then that means it's not effective. And another belief was, in order for you to achieve results, you have to hate the thing that you're doing. And I know that he didn't say that, but that's kind of how my brain translated what he was saying, is that I have to really highly dislike or maybe even hate this thing in order for it to be an effective way to go. So what I want you to understand is what I learned way too late in the game. And it's the difference between something that is challenging and something that is hard. Okay, this journey that you end up going on inherently needs to be challenging in order for you to be switching identities. If it's not challenging or uncomfortable, that means that you're in the same identity. You're still a lazy girl. In order for you to graduate from being a lazy girl, there's a certain level of pressure and discomfort and challenge that you need to embrace. However, that does not mean that you need to feel so much resistance and tension that you low-key can't stand the thing that you're doing. Like, it shouldn't feel like you are swimming against a current. It should and can feel like you're swimming with the current, but you're losing your breath as you're swimming and you need to come up for air and you need to, you're going to feel sore. You're going to build your muscles because you're trying to swim a lot, but it shouldn't feel like everything is just working against you. And if that's how it's feeling, then I would honestly revert back to number 3 that I just talked about. If the habit that you're trying to build is way too hard off the gate, then that's one way you're going to feel like you're swimming against the current. It shouldn't feel like that. I'm at a point only right now where me working out 5 days a week feels like easy breezy. Like, it just feels it feels like a given because I just have devoted my days to that because I have become the person that does that. Had I tried to do that a year ago, it would have felt like I was swimming against the current because I just hadn't become that version of me. So if you are somebody who lifts weights, for example, when you're, doing a bicep curl or even a deadlift, those last few reps, they should feel very challenging. Like it should feel like you're really straining to do it. But then you should be able to do it, ideally, and then you have this amazing, rewarding feeling after you do it. That is what challenging is. Hard is when you are doing something and all you can think about, you can't ever get into a flow state because all you're thinking about the whole entire time is how much you hate this thing. Personally, I don't love the treadmill. I don't love to run at this point in my life. I can always change if I decide to change. But at this point in my life, I don't love to run. And I genuinely don't even like walking on the treadmill because I don't like the feeling of being indoors in a gym, especially if the ceilings aren't high enough. I know that's super specific, but I've worked out enough in enough places to understand what makes me feel good and what doesn't. I would much rather hike up a very steep hill on an incline than just hike on a treadmill because I don't like it. I don't feel good. Do I still sometimes do it? Yeah, but I would be setting myself up for failure if I made that my workout routine, because why should I have to hate something in order for me to get results? You don't burn more calories or get better results the more that you hate something. So if I could go back to that younger version of myself, I would tell her, girl, go rollerblade. Like, you're going to be more active. You're going to build your muscles. You're going to be spending more time outside. Like that was my dad's advice, was genuinely bad advice in that specific scenario. So instead I just went to the gym and did things that I didn't really like to do because I felt like I had to really dislike the thing that I was doing in order for me to see results. There are a trillion ways to be active. Every day I see there's this funny ass trend, by the way. I've been seeing these reels of it's like white women will do anything to not do a normal workout. And the things that they do are always so random and so funny and things that I've never seen before in my life. And I think that the videos are so cute because at the end of the day, let them do whatever they want. Like they are moving, they are being active. There's no shame in finding creative ways to move your body. But with this, it does require that you try different things. If you don't like going to a traditional gym or even like a workout class, then try hot girl walks. If you don't like walking outside, or if you're not somewhere where it's very safe to do that, then try doing a dancing class. If you don't like dance, try yoga, try Pilates. Maybe you love to roller skate and that's one of your favorite pastimes. Go find a roller skating rink that's nearby and do that. I know for me, I was in the absolute best shape of my entire life when I was supplementing my workout routine with volleyball every week. We were playing volleyball at my gym from 7 p.m. sometimes to midnight. And was it challenging? Yeah, like I was sweating and jumping really high and trying to save the ball. Like there was a lot that was challenging about it, but I was in such a flow state because volleyball has always been like my first love. And I could just get lost in that for hours. So that is evidence that just because you love something and you're enjoying it thoroughly does not mean you're getting less of a workout. Find the thing that you are obsessed with and give yourself the full green light to do that. Because as they always say, the best workout is the one that gets you to show up the most consistently. Like you don't get bonus points for hating the thing that you do, especially when you're not actually going to show up to do it because you hate it. I also feel the need to say 5 a.m. workouts don't burn more calories than 5 p.m. workouts. I'm all for the morning workouts if that works for you, but don't feel like you're not doing as good of a job if it's not as miserable. Like, let's just really unlearn this like self-sacrificial process to getting the things that we want. Which brings me to the final rule, rule number 5, prioritize feeling good above and beyond all else. It took me way too long to realize that the feeling that I wanted to have was actually the goal. Did I want the body? Yes. Did I want the strength and the health? Absolutely. But ultimately, like what was king and queen was the feeling that I thought that those things were going to give me. Trust me when I say it has taken so much trial and error for me to understand that the feeling is more than half of the battle. And I want to explain exactly what I mean when I say that because it's not cliche. Like the feeling at all times is what you need to be focusing on. And again, do not confuse this with comfort or discomfort. You're going to be uncomfortable. We just need to get that out of the way. But feeling good about yourself, feeling good about your body, feeling good about the thing that you're doing, feeling good about the promises that you're making to yourself, that is number 1 2, and 3 before you could ever become somebody new. It is so important that you prioritize feeling good. So what does this look like when it comes to being more active and healthy? The first thing I want you to focus on right now is the metrics that you're measuring your success by. I was at a point where I realized that weighing myself every day or even ever at this point just didn't feel good. I made a video, I think a year ago, talking about how important it was for me to weigh myself every day. Scratch that. Consider this the complete revised version to that. It did not make me feel good. And I knew it didn't make me feel good because when I would drop in weight, I'd feel good. And then if I'd stay the same, or even, God forbid, if the number went up with the normal fluctuations of a woman's body, it would destroy my day. It would be so hard for me to have a good day if I didn't like what that number looked like. So understand that when you're ever that attached to a result, you are setting yourself up not just to have mental health issues, but also to be in a feeling state that doesn't ever produce the results that you truly want. It's so hard to focus on this identity of being healthy or active if you're focusing on a metric that is so volatile and can just make or break your identity. You do not want to set yourself up for something that is that black and white, for something that can completely turn off this identity that you are trying so hard to build. Because you really want to look at this identity that you're building, rules number 1 and 2, as a snowball that needs to continue to build momentum. You don't ever want to do anything that's going to stop that snowball in its track. And even worse, start putting another unwanted lazy girl snowball in motion. That's what would happen to me whenever I'd see the number on the scale stay stagnant or go up. It would start feeding momentum into the unwanted snowball of, this isn't working. You're always going to be fat and unhealthy, and you're just lazy and you're not doing the right things. What good is that? That's not going to help me attract the right decisions. It's not going to help me continue building the habits that are really helping me create the life that I want. And it's certainly not going to help me feel good about myself. So what I started doing, and every time I switch my mind to something like what I'm about to tell you, things get really fun. I started focusing not on my weight, not even on my body size, not even on whether I'm losing weight. I started focusing on whether or not I'm getting stronger and better. And this doesn't have to be your chosen metric, but as I talk you through this, I want you to think, if it's not this one, what is something you can focus on that can only get better? And in my case, it is my strength. And I'll tell you another story in a second, but every time I go in the gym, every week, I'm able to lift heavier. And even if it's not just about lifting a certain number, the push-ups that I do come more easily. I'm able to be faster. I'm able to do moves that I wasn't able to do before. I can do one more rep of something that felt very challenging to me. And that feeling is just so rewarding. Like, there's just nothing more intoxicating than feeling like your hard work is truly paying off. And for me, looking at my body, I wasn't going to see that my hard work was paying off every week. Number 1, because of low-key body dysmorphia. But number 2, it just didn't feel good for me to fixate on that. If it does feel good for you, by the way, to fixate on like your weight or your measurements, you can definitely ignore what I'm saying. But you need to be real with yourself and ask yourself if it genuinely does feel good. If it doesn't feel good, I want you to prioritize feeling good, because feeling good is going to be the thing that gets you that result. There is nothing more discouraging and low-key depressing than changing your body in the ways that you want, only to realize you still feel the same way. I have been there a few times. And that's why I understand now, with all the trial and error that I've been through, that feeling good right now is the answer. I feel so amazing right now. I feel so sexy. I feel attractive. I feel strong. I feel fit. I feel healthy. So it's just only up from here. The body has been loading, and I have been noticing, even though I'm not fixating on it. I've been noticing, and it just feels so amazing to know that me focusing on something that is so encouraging, like my ability to do things that I wasn't able to do yesterday, is what's actually getting me there. And more importantly, getting me to feel the way that I want to feel now that I'm there. I actually did something funny last year to help me with this, by the way, because I've done high intensity interval training for years. Now I'm back at it because I love it. But last year I just felt like I plateaued, and I felt like it was hard for me to get in this mode of focusing on something rewarding and positive. So I decided to try something that I had never tried before. It's kind of a form of Pilates. It's actually called Legree. It's on that like Megaformer machine. It scared the hell out of me, which was the whole point. And I was so bad. Like, I cannot describe to you how terrible I was during my first class. And that was exactly what I wanted. I wanted to be so bad at something that every single class I took after that just felt like I was building on this very low foundation. I wanted that rewarding feeling again of getting better at something. I wanted to be able to go in and not focus on my body size, not focus on my weight, but focus on, am I getting better at these moves? Am I able to hold certain poses or positions or whatever they call them for longer than I was yesterday? And I was. And my Pilates instructors even noticed after a while that I was getting so much better and so much stronger. And that feeling just got me back into feeling like a healthy girl all over again, because I switched my focus to a metric that felt encouraging and fun. That's one way of you really following this rule of prioritizing the feeling. The second way is a little bit more tactical, and it's to wear things that make you feel good at the gym. This sounds very obvious, but I just need to put it out there for you. If you need to size up to feel good, size up. Ain't nobody looking at the size of your yoga pants, okay? But you. So if the size 10 or 12 fits you better than the size 8, then do that. We all know that like these yoga brands, you can probably fit in multiple because of the material, but don't force yourself abusively into a lower size just so you can feel like you're a lower size. That's doing the opposite of what you think it's doing. It's actually igniting this belief in your head that you're not good enough, because you're going to feel so not good in that outfit. Don't wear these trendy things if you don't feel good in them. Go for the less trendy thing that makes you feel more comfortable at the gym, because it's such a vulnerable place to be, especially if you are doing things like dance or yoga or Pilates. You're moving around a lot and you want to feel super comfortable in this thing that is your vessel, so that you don't say things in your head that are negative about this thing you're trying to pour into. I actually just ordered a couple things from Gymshark, and I ordered the right size and they fit. But I'm like, honestly, I want to size up because they're tight. Like Gymshark leggings are just so tight, you guys. I don't know if you've ever tried them, but they're like way too up your butt. And I'm like, I don't even care about the fact that I'm getting a large instead of a medium. I care about the fact that when I'm doing deadlifts or even burpees at the gym, I'm not worried about things falling out of place because it just is too tight on me. I want you to allow yourself the permission to feel good, so that the things that you are saying about yourself during this intimate, vulnerable moment of being at the gym are positive things that, once again, deposit into this chosen identity. It all kind of like builds like a cycle. If you feel good in the things that you're wearing while you're at the gym, and you catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror, you're going to say, wow, look how good my legs look. Or wow, I look like I'm really getting lean. Or wow, this shirt fits me so well. I love how I feel when I put this outfit on. I love how this is making me feel. This makes me really believe in this identity that I'm this healthy, active girl. I want you to focus on how you feel, because that is ultimately what is going to get you the results that you want. For the longest time, when it came to health and specifically weight loss, I thought that feeling good was this carrot on a stick that I needed to dangle far, far ahead of me so that I could motivate myself to lose weight. It clearly didn't work for me, because I had battled yo-yo dieting and losing weight and gaining weight and trial and error for pretty much half of my life, because I was withholding the actual thing that was gonna help me get to where I wanted to go, which is the good feeling. Now, I've decided to inject myself with that good feeling from the beginning. I have already lost around 15 pounds. I told you I stopped weighing myself, so it might even be more than that. I don't care. I don't want to look, because once again, I'm smart enough to understand that I'm focusing on a metric that makes me feel good, which is that my ass has been in that gym getting very strong, doing 2-a-days like it's nobody's business, lifting heavier than I've ever lifted before. Like those are the things that are making me feel so good. And yeah, every here and there when I pass by the mirror and I look at my body, I feel good about it because I'm wearing things that make me feel good, doing things that make me feel good, and most importantly, making daily and frequent deposits into this identity of a healthy, happy, active girly. It really starts with you. Everyone around you will catch up. I'll end with a really cute and timely story. We're going on vacation in about a month, and my brother, who's also super active, who also very much so pivoted the hell out of his identity as well, was asking my husband while I was still asleep in the group chat, like, do you guys want to do this bike thing with us? We're going on this like all day bike trail. Are you guys in or out? And Ahmed responded like, yeah, I'm in. I would wait for Mimi to wake up, but she's a healthy girl now, so I know she's in too. And when I woke up and I saw that, it was very nice, not because I needed the validation of what I already know about myself, but because it's just an amazing way to affirm the fact that I have created this identity that everyone else is just getting in line with. So that's something that I want to leave you with. It starts with you. You are the only person who decides what character you're playing. You. No one else is writing your story. You're writing your story. Everyone else is just a supporting character in whoever you are deciding to be. And I promise you, the day that you decide to choose your character and make these deposits and just stay in that character, everything and everyone else around you is just going to fall in line because it has to. And before you know it, you're just going to look up and be like, oh, I'm her. I am her. And it'll be probably one of the most intoxicating, rewarding feelings you've ever had. All because you gave yourself permission to feel good right now. So decide on who you are now and follow these rules to help you stay in character so that you never, ever, ever have to click on an exit your lazy girl era ever again. And look, I'm not going to tell you to like or subscribe. I know you hear that more than enough. But as always, if you found this video helpful, bring a friend with you next time. Let's leave people even more powerful than we found them. I love you so much, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.